Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Phil and Rye on Listen Up on this Super Bowl Sunday. Final score 83-65. UConn demolished. Sorry to say it, Ryan, but that's how it was today. We we didn't expect it. But some people did. I assume South Carolina fans, you have it all for us right now on Listen Up.
Yeah, it was well, appreciate everybody if you tuned into the live stream, 2 hour live stream, something different we did today for the game. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out the way that we wanted it to for us UConn fans. But yeah, unfortunately, the box score, kind of, I don't know, it feels like UConn could have lost by a lot more. They could have kept it a lot closer. Shot 36% today. Only three bench boys. South Carolina obviously had a lot more, but I don't know. It's just UConn. They couldn't get shots to fall. That was really the story of the game. UConn couldn't make any shots at all. Te-Hina Paopao really took over for South Carolina in that first half, and then it was kind of Ashwin Watkins past that point in the second half, and kind of everybody else for South Carolina. But tough atmosphere for UConn to go into, but obviously not the way we wanted it to end. And unfortunately, UConn couldn't really keep it competitive either the whole way through it. It just seemed like since the start of the game, UConn never could really pull it back and get it somewhat close to where they could keep it a competitive game.
Yeah, and it's good to mention that when the article came out, the recap on ESPN, that is, about how South Carolina pulled away early, because I really thought there for a while, Ryan, that it was going to be a game all the way up to halftime or even the third quarter. But once they started leaving Pow open and some more of these South Carolina players getting just in their shots, talk about their shots. UConn's defense may be kind of off today because of a lot of the shots South Carolina, once they started to get in their rhythm, wide open shots, nobody in their face at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely too many wide open looks for South Carolina. I don't think UConn really played bad on defense, but South Carolina, obviously hats off to them, played really good defense against UConn, and on offense they got a couple open looks, but really executed their offense well today. They average a ton of points on the season, obviously scored 83 today, so yeah, it just didn't quite go how UConn wanted it to today. UConn didn't really get out in transition. Yeah, it was just tough all the way around for UConn to really get anything going. Paige and Aaliyah were bright spots today, I think, for UConn, but unfortunately, Nika Mule couldn't really get anything going. Ashlyn Shade took a lot of shots, but unfortunately, what she took 11 threes, went 2 for 11. So unfortunately, unable to really find her shot from deep. And KK Arnold, unfortunately, couldn't really get anything to fall either.
All right, let's go over to comments, and everyone can enjoy Super Bowl Sunday with their families, friends, whatever y'all are doing. All right, stuffing our faces with food. All right, let's go to how about this person says, Ryan, this is interesting. UConn doesn't have to win. They just can't get blown out. Well, 83-65.
We like we said, we were kind of hoping that UConn wouldn't get blown out in this game and that they could keep it competitive the whole way through. They kind of did a little bit for that first quarter, but after that, it was unfortunately a blowout for really the rest of that game. And basically they just couldn't get any shots to fall, I think was really the story of the game. Didn't, in my opinion, didn't really get it in the paint enough to Aaliyah, even though she did have 20 points, but only 13 shots. So I think they could have gotten it down low to her a little bit more. Paige had 20 shots, 20 points, so she definitely had her hands on the ball. tried to get her shot going, but I think even Paige could have got a little more involved in the game, taking some more shots, but unfortunately just didn't go the way UConn wanted it to today.
Marcia Clark says, just hoping for a good game with no injuries. Last year's game was fun to watch. I'm a Dawn Staley fan, so I'm just excited to watch players make plays. There's so much talent on both sides in so many different players. Just a matter of who shows up, and that's why you play the game. Love the hats.
Yeah, definitely a lot of talent. It's always good, this rivalry, and a lot of games this year. Good for the women's game. So definitely fun to watch, but not the outcome that we wanted. But yeah, Dawn Staley, we talked about it a little bit during the live stream. Just Dawn Staley building this dynasty, and what, I don't know if it's a dynasty yet, but building definitely something special in South Carolina. Done a lot of great things for them. Kind of expect them to be in the same place next year, but definitely unfinished business for them this year. But yeah, definitely a pretty stacked roster as we saw today.
This is interesting, Ryan. I predict UConn comes away from the South Carolina game with their heads held high. The team with pressure on them is South Carolina. No pressure today from what I saw. Maybe in the beginning a little bit. I was holding out a lot of hope. UConn was getting that was golden opportunities. I mean, a lot of misses early from the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I think if it wouldn't have been for Paopao, South Carolina would have been in trouble there for most of the first half, but she really kept them afloat with those 3-point attempts and drilling almost every shot she took in the first half, but it just didn't know. It didn't seem like South Carolina had any pressure, even though they were the favorites. They had the home crowd, home environment behind them. It didn't really look like UConn had a lot of pressure on them. I just think, KK Ashland being freshman, first really big atmosphere for them. So hopefully, like we said, UConn can obviously be more healthy next year, a little bit more prepared, a little bit more experienced. So I guess there's always next year.
What a way to end this, Ryan. I agree. Jason D'Amico, I agree with both of your assessments. This is not the roster Gino had planned to take on South Carolina in the beginning of the year. And this team is just not good enough right now to beat them. Listen to this prediction. South Carolina wins 85-62.
It would have been UConn would have had 62, but Cadence got a 3 there right before the game ended. So really close score prediction there from Jason. But yeah, we talked about that as too. AZ and Aubrey being out, obviously huge losses. Carolina and Jana Alfie, Ayanna Patterson, all 5 of them, but especially losing AZ in the beginning of the season, and then when Aubrey Griffin went down was a huge blow to this team. So, like I said, hopefully they'll be healthier next season, but definitely not the roster, the starting lineup Gino had in mind. So, a lot of obstacles that, again, this season UConn has had to fight off. But even though today, tough loss again today. Still a couple games left in the regular season. Still got the Big East tournament, and then hopefully, we can get prepared and ready to take on March Madness.
It goes from one extreme to the other. Next stop, Cincinnati, Ohio, for a what, Ryan? 1-20 team. So talk about flipping the script. Let's check in tomorrow night right here on Listen Up.